What if your focus could double instantly? Imagine holding the kind of mental power that kings and conquerors once used to shape history. Machiavelli knew how to sharpen focus so intensely that even the smallest decision could change the fate of nations. He wasn't just a political thinker, he was a master of human psychology, a strategist who understood how the mind could be trained into a weapon. And in this video, you're about to learn his method, the same principles that allowed rulers to command armies, win power, and outsmart rivals. Most people think focus is just about blocking distractions, but Machiavelli saw it differently. To him, focus was not passive. It was active, sharp, almost ruthless. He believed that focus could be engineered through strategy. He warned princes never to drift in fantasy, but to grip reality with both hands. This lesson is hidden inside his writings, often overlooked. But once you see it, you'll never look at your own concentration the same way again. Stay with me, because what you'll hear in the next few minutes is not another productivity hack. It's a method designed centuries ago, tested in the harsh world of politics, and still powerful today. By the end of this video, you'll know how to channel your mind with precision, cut away hidden enemies of distraction, and act with a clarity most people never achieve. Machiavelli believed the mind should be trained the same way a ruler trains an army, with discipline, with strategy, and with constant readiness. And that is exactly what we will uncover together. But here's the twist. Machiavelli's advice was dangerous. He didn't teach people to be good. He taught them to be effective. That's why his writings were banned, feared, and sometimes burned. Yet hidden inside those forbidden pages lies the secret to focus that feels almost unfair. If you've ever wondered why you start with energy but lose it halfway, or why your goals get blurred by endless distractions, Machiavelli already explained why, and his solution is both brutal and brilliant. So why should you watch this video till the end? Because you'll not only learn how to boost your focus by 200%, you'll also discover the forgotten mindset that helped leaders outlast chaos and stay unshaken under pressure. This isn't about time management. It's about mental domination. Imagine being able to lock onto your task the way a hawk locks onto its prey, without hesitation, without noise, without mercy. That is what Machiavelli teaches, and by the end of this video, you will know how to use it in your own life. Welcome to Psych Algorithm, the channel where we unlock timeless wisdom from the minds of philosophers and strategists. If you're ready to sharpen your mind, master your focus, and turn ancient power into modern strength, then make sure you subscribe right now, because what you're about to learn is only the beginning. Before we talk about the secret techniques to sharpen your focus, we need to understand why Machiavelli believed focus itself was power. To him, power was never about strength alone. It was about control. And what is focus, if not the control of your own mind? Without that inner command, everything else collapses. Armies can be strong, wealth can be vast, but if the leader cannot control his thoughts, his emotions, and his attention, all of that power is wasted. Machiavelli saw this clearly. He warned that a distracted ruler was a weak ruler. Focus equals power. Think of it this way. A candle spreads light in every direction, but a laser made from the same light can cut through steel. The difference is focus. Machiavelli too that the same principle applied to human beings. A mind scattered in many directions achieves little. A mind narrowed, sharpened, and controlled can shape destiny. For him, focus was not a luxury. It was survival. Machiavelli lived in Florence during one of the most unstable times in history. Alliances shifted overnight, enemies appeared from nowhere, and fortunes were lost in a single move. In this chaos, he noticed that those who survived weren't always the strongest. They were the ones who could control themselves, stay clear when others panicked, and focus on what truly mattered. He saw that power doesn't vanish because of weakness. It vanishes because of distraction. And distraction in his eyes, was a form of self-betrayal. To control others, you must first control yourself. That was his logic, and self-control begins with focus. Imagine a ruler trying to lead while his mind drifts into fear, pleasure, or endless possibilities. He would hesitate, and hesitation would cost him everything. Machiavelli insisted that clarity comes from cutting noise, from directing all mental energy toward the goal, and from refusing to let temptation pull you off course. In his world where betrayal and deception were daily threats, such discipline was not just useful, it was life-saving. What makes this idea even more powerful today is how rare true focus has become. Our world floods us with distractions that Machiavelli could never have imagined. Screens, alerts, endless voices pulling our attention. If he were alive now, he would say the same rule applies. Focus equals power. Control your mind. Without it, you are ruled by others, whether you realize it or not. Machiavelli also believed that control was not only mental, but strategic. He taught that a prince should control information, appearances, and timing. In the same way, you must control where your energy flows. If you let it scatter, you surrender power. But if you guide it, if you hold it firm, then your focus becomes a weapon, and weapons in the hands of a disciplined mind are unstoppable. This is why Machiavelli treated focus not as something passive, but as something active, deliberate, almost ruthless. Focus was a command, not a mood. It was the invisible force that turned intention into results, and gave rulers the edge over those who could not master themselves. Machiavelli never trusted fantasies. He looked at the world with sharp eyes, and rejected ideals that softened the mind. To him, focus could never survive in illusions. True focus only comes when you face reality directly, even when it is ugly. He warned that people who live in dreams fall into traps, because they expect life to be fair, or people to be kind, or fortune to always favor them. But life is not built that way. Life moves with power, struggle, and unpredictability. To survive, you must see it as it is. That is why he wrote that a ruler who clings to ideals loses control, while the one who faces reality stands strong. For Machiavelli, mental clarity meant stripping away false hopes and confronting what is right in front of you. Imagine a soldier on the battlefield who believes the enemy will show mercy. His focus is already broken, because his mind clings to fantasy instead of the truth. The ruler, or the individual who sees things clearly, without filters, commands their own mind. That clarity is what protects focus. Stay realistic, because only reality sharpens the edge of attention. But facing reality was not enough. Machiavelli also warned about enemies, the ones who worked silently and struck when least expected. And here lies a lesson for focus today. Our greatest enemies are not always outside. Often they live close, even within us. Distractions act just like hidden enemies. They sneak into the mind, dressed as small pleasures, harmless delays, or innocent thoughts. But each one cuts a piece of your focus away, leaving you weaker, scattered, and unprepared. Machiavelli said that rulers must always watch the ones nearest to them, because betrayal rarely comes from far away. In the same way, betrayal of focus rarely comes from massive events. It comes from the small, constant interruptions you allow every day. A buzzing phone, an open tab, a stray thought you follow too long. These are not harmless. They are assassins of clarity, and if you let them stay close, they will strike at the exact moment you need your mind the most. That is why eliminating distractions is not just about productivity. It is about survival of your mental power. To sharpen attention, you must see distractions as enemies and cut them without mercy. Still, once distractions are cut, a ruler or any person cannot afford to wait too long. Machiavelli believed speed was critical. He saw how hesitation destroyed leaders, delay killed opportunities, indecision weakened armies. He said that fortune favors the bold, the ones who act quickly when the moment opens. The same principle applies to focus. When you hesitate, your mind fills with doubt, second-guessing, and noise. Your clarity breaks apart. But when you act swiftly, you move with clean energy, and your focus tightens. He knew that every delay invites chaos. Imagine a decision left too long, enemies regroup, opportunities vanish, and your power fades. In life, procrastination does the same. It steals focus. Peace, peace, peace. A task delayed becomes heavier, until the weight itself destroys your clarity. Machiavelli's advice is simple but sharp. Act quickly, and clarity will follow. The more you hesitate, the more the mind scatters. But the more you move with speed, the more your focus strengthens. Yet speed alone is not enough. Machiavelli also taught that fortune changes like the seasons, and only those who adapt survive. He wrote that a ruler must bend with the times, like a tree that sways with the wind. Those who stand rigid are broken, while those who bend stay rooted. Focus, he believed, worked the same way. If you cling to one fixed path while the world changes, your attention snaps under the strain. But if you adapt, shifting methods, adjusting strategies, you keep your focus alive. Flexibility is not weakness. For Machiavelli, it was strength. To adapt is to outlast chaos. He saw that fortune was unpredictable, yet not unconquerable. If you learn to read the times, to adjust your actions, you can ride change instead of being crushed by it. Focus thrives in this resilience. A mind that adapts is never broken. A mind that resists reality shatters easily. That is why adaptability is a pillar of strong focus. Mental resilience is not built by resisting change. It is built by embracing it and moving with precision through uncertainty. But perhaps his sharpest warning came in his thoughts on truth and flattery. Machiavelli observed that rulers often fell because they surrounded themselves with flatterers. Praise, he explained, blinds the man. A ruler who only hears what he wants loses grip on reality. And once reality slips away, focus collapses with it. Lies feel good, but they destroy clarity. The same principle governs the mind today. When you fill your mind with comforting lies, telling yourself that distractions don't matter, that delay is harmless, that effort can wait, you lose the ability to focus. Your attention wanders into illusions. Machiavelli insisted that true power comes from truth, even when it hurts. That is why he said wise leaders should surround themselves with advisors who speak honestly, not those who only praise. In personal focus, this means seeking honest feedback from yourself and others. It means confronting your weaknesses instead of hiding them behind excuses. Truth sharpens clarity the way a whetstone sharpens a blade. It may cut at first, but it makes the mind stronger. Flattery softens, weakens, and blinds. A ruler fed lies loses his throne. A mind fed lies loses its focus. And once focus is gone, power disappears with. This is why Machiavelli treated truth as a necessity, not a choice. Seek it, protect it, because only truth keeps the mind clear. And only a clear mind can hold focus long enough to create lasting power. Machiavelli believed that discipline was not a single act, but a constant practice. He taught that rulers who prepared daily were the ones who survived when storms arrived. Focus, in his view, was the same. You cannot summon it once and expect it to remain. It must be trained like a soldier, drilled into routine until it becomes unshakable. Every day, he insisted, a leader must sharpen his tools, check his defenses, and prepare for the unexpected. The same rule applies to the mind. Focus is not built in bursts of motivation. It is built in daily discipline, in habits repeated until they become the natural rhythm of life. Machiavelli himself spent countless hours studying history, watching men rise and fall, recording lessons in his writings. This was his discipline. He never waited for inspiration. He worked, studied, and prepared constantly. In the same way, modern focus demands daily training. It comes from the small rituals you practice without fail, waking with clarity, setting your tasks, cutting distractions, and following through. Discipline, once built, becomes invisible strength. Without it, focus is fragile. With it, focus is unbreakable. But he also warned against comfort. Comfort, in his eyes, was the silent killer of power. Leaders who rested too long were quickly overtaken by rivals. Armies that stopped training lost their edge. Comfort imports to softness, and softness leads to defeat. Machiavelli argued that growth must always outrun rest. This does not mean that rest has no place. It means that rest should serve growth, not replace it. For the mind, the same truth applies. When you stay too comfortable, your focus dulls. You lose the sharpness that comes only from stretching yourself, testing your limits, and pushing beyond what feels easy. Growth keeps focus alive, just as a muscle weakens when left unused. The mind weakens when it avoids challenge. But when you treat focus like a muscle, constantly exercised, consistently tested, it grows stronger with time. Each day of effort, each step into difficulty, forges greater clarity. Machiavelli saw focus not as energy alone, but as strategy. He believed that power depended on foresight, planning, and deliberate moves. Focus was never meant to be wild or scattered. It was meant to be aimed, precise, and tactical. In his world, strategy separated rulers from the ruled, and for him, focus was the hidden strategy behind every action. It was not only about keeping attention, but directing it like a weapon. Think of focus as a battlefield. If you spread your forces thin, you lose. If you concentrate them at the right point, you win. Machiavelli would argue that the same principle governs the mind. Scatter your attention across many things, and you are defeated. Direct it toward a single goal, and you break through obstacles. Strategic focus is a method, not a mood. It is the deliberate act of channeling energy where it matters most. When you treat focus as strategy, productivity stops being random. It becomes calculated, powerful, and efficient. This view is why his lessons remain alive today. The modern world is filled with distractions, comforts, and false promises. But a Machiavellian mindset cuts through them with precision. He would tell you be realistic, see things as they are, not as you wish. He would urge you to act fast. Hesitation destroys clarity, while decisive moves sharpen it. He would demand that you cut lies, stop feeding your mind with flattering excuses, and face the truth of your habit. And he would insist that you adapt daily, because change is constant, and only the flexible keep their focus alive. The Machiavellian mindset for modern productivity is not cold for the sake of cruelty. It is cold for the sake of clarity. It trains you to use your mind as a tool, not a playground. It demands that you strip away illusions, act without delay, silence false voices, and move with the rhythm of change. With this mindset, focus becomes more than attention. It becomes power, strategy, and survival in a noisy age. To live with this discipline, you must create structure. To grow instead of resting, you must seek challenges. To treat focus as strategy, you must direct it deliberately. And to embrace the modern Machiavellian way, you must wake each day ready to adapt, ready to act, and ready to see the truth. In doing this, your mind sharpens, your focus holds, and your power grows. Not by chance, but by choice. Focus is control. That was Machiavelli's lesson, and it is as true today as it was in the ruthless courts of Renaissance Italy. He watched rulers rise and fall, not because of luck alone, but because of how well they could control themselves before they tried to control others. He saw that without inner discipline, Even the strongest armies and the richest treasures meant nothing. Power wasted without control was power lost. That is why he tied the idea of focus directly to survival, success, and mastery. With Machiavelli's method, you can learn to double your attention. Not through tricks, not through quick hacks, but through principles that last. He showed that realism over fantasy brings clarity, that cutting patterns like enemies keeps your mind safe, that speed of action stops hesitation from destroying momentum, that adaptability preserves strength in times of change, that truth over flattery protects you from lies that blur your vision. And above all, he taught that daily discipline, constant growth, and strategic focus are what transform ordinary attention into extraordinary power. Think about what this means for your own life. Each day, you face countless decisions. Each one demands your focus. If you scatter it, you weaken yourself. If you sharpen it, you step into strength. Machiavelli believed that clarity is not a gift, but a practice. It belongs to those who choose to see reality, to act quickly, and to control their own minds before trying to command anything else. In a world filled with endless noise, his method is almost like a secret weapon, a way to cut through chaos and hold steady when everyone else is lost in distraction. This is the true power of mindset. When you control your focus, you control your future. Without focus, goals remain dreams. With focus, dreams turn into action. Without focus, you are ruled by circumstance. With focus, you rule over circumstance. This is why Machiavelli's wisdom endures, not because it is cold or harsh, but because it is brutally effective. He was not afraid to tell the truth. Power belongs to those who can hold their minds steady when the world tries to pull them apart. So as you finish this video, ask yourself, how much of your day do you give away to distraction, to delay, to comfort? And how much do you take back by being realistic, by acting fast, by adapting, by seeking truth? Machiavelli's method is not meant for princes alone. It is meant for anyone who wants to live with strength instead of weakness, clarity instead of confusion, focus instead of waste. If you use even one of his lessons, you will notice the change. If you use them all, your focus will sharpen beyond what you thought possible. That is why this channel exists, to give you these timeless tools, ancient strategies for a modern world, wisdom that still cuts sharper than anything written today. If you want to boost focus, if you want to master the power of mindset, and if you want to keep sharpening yourself daily, then stay with us. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join Psych algorithm in uncovering more lessons that turn thought into power. Because with Machiavelli's method, your mind can become your greatest weapon, and focus will be the blade you carry everywhere.